Man, the United Supermarkets Arena tonight was unreal. Man, it was just the atmosphere, the student section. Man, what a venue to play college basketball. I can't imagine it being better. I really can't. I'm so thankful. It's a blessing for our team to compete and be Red Raiders. And I don't say that lightly, because it's not like this at other places. And I'm so thankful. And we're thankful. And then, it's a great Baylor team. And I think their best days are ahead of them as they get healthy. Playing without VJ is really difficult. I mean, he's such a downhill physical player that can make threes, and he was playing his best basketball. I hated to see that. He wasn't able to play, but they did get Roach back, and Roach is a problem. I mean, he had 12 in this one, but you could tell he's finding his rhythm, and that's a really good team. A really good team. First half, we guarded them well, and we finished it with rebounds. Second half, we guarded it well, and we didn't finish it with rebounds, and I thought that was the difference that made the game close. But, man, I just love the grit of this team. We keep finding a way to separate when it matters. I thought Darian Williams was tremendous down the stretch. Elijah Hawkins' ability to control the game, and then ultimately Chance McMillan broke the game open. And his will to win is tremendous. Federico was remarkable on the glass, and man, we just got great team defense possessions that we can still improve a lot. But man, I love seeing our team play together and play for each other.
Coach Drew said a couple minutes ago that this team could be a Final Four caliber team. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's easy for him to say. I mean, he likes putting squeeze on people like that. No, he's one of the most encouraging people I've ever been around in my life. So, and he always is positive, and it's always telling you what you can really do. And I'm telling you, he really is one of the most encouraging people I've ever been around. Maybe he is the most encouraging. And I just really appreciate him. But, I mean, we're not thinking about anything other than winning the next one and trying to get better as a team. That's the truth.
So you talked about it earlier. When you have that fire, what was the fire that you put into Chance that started that 9-0 Chance run?
That had anything to do with me. That has to do with Chance. I mean, Chance's motor and his willingness to do what it takes to win. I think the one thing about Chance is he tries to find ways to create, and I think he just needs to err on the side of thinking shot first, and if that prep's right, then people overcompensate for his ability to shoot, and then he can drive. Sometimes he gets to where he's trying to drive it before he's really got them in a position where they have to close out farther. And I mean, you got to guard him everywhere. And his motor never stops. That's what makes him awesome. And combine him with the lineups that we have, where you got JT and Darian Williams and Christian Anderson and Kerwin Walton. I mean, he's just got all these offensive great players around him, so it just makes it more where he can get loose. And Elijah Hawkins doing a really good job passing the ball, man. Like, really good job. And it's fun to see that these guys, to me, it's fun to watch them guard, but it's a lot of fun when we can separate and make shots like we did during that stretch.
You talked about it in your opening statement, but how impactful is it to be able to play in the United Supermarkets Arena when you're going against a team that just had their biggest win of the season so far? How important is it to have that set of a fan base to where they can kind of confuse the other team? Yeah,
if you want to play for championships, your home court advantage has to be like what it was tonight. That's the truth. And it's real. I mean, the impact is real. Like the momentum that we get from playing here, and we need to get scrappier when the ball's loose. I mean, I want there to be this different culture of fight and scrap, and I do think we scrapped that second half. We just didn't rebound well enough, but the ball's loose. And give Baylor credit. I mean, I felt like they were really put us in a bind a couple times by the way that we just got to get better at doing those little things in those possessions where it gets that grimy. And man, that's where I think we've got to keep taking steps, and that's where this builds even crazier to me. I mean, not just when you're making shots, but when you're coming up with all these, tough plays. And that's what I want our people to appreciate.
Coach, it looked to me like the first half was kind of a finesse half of basketball, and the second half was a much more physical half of basketball, and you won both halves. So just any comment on that?
Yeah, well, I will tell you, I thought the first 10 minutes was super physical, and then as it kind of the end of the half it got a little, it was just weren't shooting any free throws and weren't calling. I mean, there wasn't any fouls called, so it was just more of a kind of alternate. Well, I did think it ramped up significantly. I mean, when you score 24 points in a half like did, I think there's an urgency to, like, how do you create extra possessions? Because they weren't able to do that in the first half, and I think we held them scoreless maybe the last 4 minutes of the half. So I do think their urgency was what it needed to be, and they came out and punched us in the mouth to start the second half. I mean, we did not respond well, and that'll be something that we got to take a look at. But no, the urgency on their side, give them credit, because I thought they really battled back and gave themselves a chance to win the game. It was it was a 7-point game with 5 minutes to go or whatever it was, and you could feel the game being like, hey, who wants to win this? And I did think we got the right grit in this group to separate when it matters.
And were you happy with the way you were able to take advantage of them switching 1 through 5? I mean, a lot of times they had like John on McMillan or something like that, and particularly in the second half. Do you think you did good in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard way to play the game, is when you're just trying to expose mismatches. And because then you lose the flow of, like, people touching the basketball. So, I mean, I told our staff, like, one thing I want to be able to do is, like, maybe get to different actions where everybody gets to handle it, so you just don't catch it one time in 5 possessions. And, I mean, I do think we've got great players that can take advantage of that. I thought Elijah was really good tonight in that. I mean, he's had his times where he's gone in there and jumped up and shot some tough twos, and I thought he made a couple of great twos. I thought he shot the ones on balance, and when he missed them, we had a chance to rebound them tonight. And I thought he was instrumental in making all that work from the beginning. And then as the game goes on, I would like to, I thought his combination of doing that and then going into the ball screen with Fede to get it loose and on some movement opened up the floor and allowed us to get some of those dunks when we did go away from just mismatches.
You guys were plus 19 with Federico on the floor tonight. I think he had 3 blocks. Just what kind of impact did he have on both ends?
Yeah, it was the last thing I said in the locker room to him, was just like how tremendous Fede's been and his energy. And like there was a play right at the end of the half where they, or right at the beginning of the second half, and I showed him where Wright was dribbling down the lane and looked like he had a layup, and Fede blocked it out of bounds. And like during that stretch, like this is where he's been huge for us. Just his communication, his experience, his ability to navigate the middle of the floor and help our guys stay in position, and then he can make those kind of plays. And the more he gets like that, the better we'll be.
7 wins in a row in the Big 12 almost never happens. Does it feel different, just this team compared to others that you've been a part of?
No. I mean, I've been a part of a team that went 16-2 in a league, which is the most in the league's history. I mean, like this is our expectation. I don't say that arrogantly. I say that humbly, knowing that it takes a lot of work and belief to do it, and how you approach every day is extremely important. And I think I just told them in the locker room, like, expect this, but like you have to be willing to put in the work and do the things in between now and tomorrow to put yourself in position for what we got to do on Saturday. And then you got to do it. You got to just invest everything you have into those habits that give you the best chance to win a basketball game together. And it's easier said than done.
Coach, you just talked about how Fede was really strong defensively in the second half, and just could you touch on how he was able to, step in for Toppin today, just with how Toppin was sporadic in the second half minutes-wise, and how he really came out of the gate really, really strong today, and just how Fede was able to, pick up that slack.
Yeah, that's what I love about being a part of a team. I think Fede looked in the mirror at the end of the game against Houston and felt like he didn't play his best. And that's where we've got the team who's got the heart to take hard coaching and get better. And Fede's perfect at it, honestly. Like he's as good as it gets at just embracing those things that he needs to improve on. And I thought his intensity, and I'll tell you what's fun is listening to them talk to each other. Like when you're a coach and you're telling them what to do, it's great. But when they're out there solving it, that's what he and E are doing in the middle of the floor. And that's what Darian Williams brings to the table. He's got major command when the game's on the line. We just got to have that kind of command over the course of the game, and that's how you create a dominant defense, not like a good defense. I think we got a good one, but we're not a dominant defense. I mean, we have our stretches, but the ability for those guys to like really communicate what they see and then to solve it while it's happening, that's where we're getting. And Elijah Hawkins on the ball, and Federico in those ball screens, that's becoming like a really good combination for us.
JT not playing the last stretch, was that just precautionary? It was working for you. You had the lead. If you didn't have to put him in, don't put him in, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I look at those plays. There's like a rebound play in front of the basket on our side, and like he's such a dynamic player that it's obvious when he doesn't have the same lift or he doesn't have the same aggressiveness to the ball. And I thought Federico was playing great. So I went down there and talked to him. They're like, Coach, we're winning. Let's roll with it. I mean, they've got a great attitude toward this. That's what you want with a team like this. But also, at originally when you see him limping like that, you're like, oh no. But from what I understand, there's quite a bit of optimism there. And the way he came back and the way he felt after was significantly better than first anticipated.
And earlier in the year, Darian missed those 2 potential game winners. When a player does that, sometimes you kind of worry if they're shy away from big moments, but he hit that big 3 against Houston, and then you just gave him the ball and let him close this one out. Have you seen any change in confidence of him from that, or is that just kind of always what it is, and you have confidence in him in those moments?
No, I told him, like, I don't care. The big thing to me in these games, and I hope you kind of can see it, like, can you put 2 feet in the ground and move toward the rim on shots? I think that's the key component to closing games. And when you watch what he does against BYU, he's getting fouled and moving toward the rim. And when you see when possessions don't quite work, we're moving away from the basket, shooting those shots. And so what I tell him is that I'm living with you to the end, as long as we're putting 2 feet in the ground and we're playing at the basket. Then if not, then let's play next advantage. And when he's at his best is what to do. Be on balance, shoot a 3 all the time. I mean, because he can make them. I mean, he's honestly an unbelievable 3-point shooter. He's just got like the best 3-point shooting guys around him, so he doesn't feel like the need that he needs to fire them. But I want him to shoot them. But the thing that makes him great is kind of what he did at the end. Like he went in the paint and stopped and pivoted and then got fouled. He's really difficult to defend when he's doing that. And when he shies away from the basket, those are the things that I'm just more encouraging of. Like, I'm living with you shooting every ball as long as we're moving toward the rim. And sometimes you got to shoot a tougher shot when the shot clock's there. But I'm rolling with him all the time. I mean, his heart's right. He cares about our team. He's got the tools to make those plays, and our team trusts him. Thank y'all.